Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving deep into the world of AI copilots today, unpacking what they are, how they work, and how they're being used.
Yeah.
You said there were some really interesting Microsoft Learn articles on this, and Eddie, I gotta say, even for someone who follows this stuff pretty closely, it's mind-blowing. The other day I was using AI to help write an email, and it was like, bam, instant magic.
It really can feel like magic, but it's really the power of generative AI at work. That's the technology behind these copilots. And it uses, some serious math and data science to mimic human behavior. It can churn out original content, whether it's a cover letter, a snazzy new logo, or even lines of code.
So it's like having a creative partner who's also a math whiz. I'm intrigued. Can you give us more specific examples of this generative AI in action?
Absolutely. Let's start with natural language generation. Microsoft Copilot, for instance, can help you write everything from emails and social media posts to full-fledged articles. In the visual realm, generative AI can whip up logos, illustrations, even photorealistic scenes based on your descriptions. And for the coding gurus out there, imagine having an AI write Python code for you based on your instructions.
Wow, that's a game changer, especially for someone like me who struggles to write a simple happy birthday email sometimes. Okay, so we've got this futuristic tech that can write .design.code. You mentioned earlier that it all comes down to math and data science. But how does it actually learn to do all this?
At the heart of it all are language models. These are the brains behind generative AI. Think of them as super absorbent sponges, soaking up massive amounts of data, which allows them to understand and generate human-like text.
So are all language models created equal?
Not quite. There are two main types: large language models, LLMs, and small language models, or SLMs. The LLMs are the heavy lifters, trained on huge data sets, and capable of some truly amazing feats, but they're also resource-intensive. SLMs, on the other hand, are more specialized, maybe focused on a specific area like medical terms or legal jargon. They're often faster and easier to fine-tune, and you can even put them directly on devices.
That makes sense. So what kind of language models are powering the tools Microsoft offers?
Azure OpenAI service gives you access to some leading LLMs, including GPT 3.5 Turbo, GPT-4, and GPT-4, which are designed to excel at conversations and messaging. There's also GPT-4 Turbo with Vision, which can actually understand images and answer questions about them, and DAE, which focuses on generating images from descriptions.
Okay. My brain is starting to feel a little full here.
Yeah.
But I'm hooked. I need to know how these models learn to generate all this incredible stuff.
Well, that's where things get really fascinating. The most advanced language models today rely on something called the transformer architecture.
Transformer architecture. Sounds intimidating. Get me with your simplified version.
Think of it as a tag team. You've got the encoder, which acts like a detective breaking down a sentence to understand its meaning. Then you've got the decoder, which is like a writer, using that understanding to craft new text.
Okay. I'm picturing a detective and a writer working side by side now. So it's this teamwork between them that lets these models generate such human-like text.
Exactly. It's a dance between analysis and creation. But there's more to it than just breaking down and building sentences. These models also need to understand the meaning of words.
That's always puzzled me. It's not like they have dictionaries built in, right?
Right. It's all about tokenization and embeddings. Imagine the model taking a word like dog and breaking it down into individual units, or tokens, then. It assigns a unique numerical representation, a vector, to each token. That's the embedding. It's like a fingerprint that not only identifies the word itself, but also its relationship to other words.
So the model learns that dog is connected to words like puppy, bark, and fetch through these embeddings.
Exactly. It's amazing, right? By analyzing how often these words appear together, the model starts to understand the subtle nuances of language, creating this vast web of interconnected meaning.
It's like the AI is building its own encyclopedia of knowledge. But instead of definitions, it's all about relationships and connections between words. Mind-blowing.
And to make things even more mind-blowing, the model doesn't just consider each word on its own. It uses something called attention to weigh the importance of different words when figuring out what comes next in a sequence.
Attention. So it's like the model is focusing its attention on the most important words, just like we do when we're listening to someone.
Precisely. Imagine you're reading the sentence, "The dog chased the ball through the park." The model is going to pay more attention to words like dog, chased, and ball to understand what's happening. It's like highlighting the key players in a story.
This is incredible. It's like these models are super-powered readers, analyzing text with a level of depth and nuance that I never would have imagined.
That's what makes them so powerful for all sorts of things, from writing creative content to translating languages to even writing code.
Okay, my brain needs a moment to process all of this, but I'm excited to see how this technology is being put into action. Let's talk about Microsoft Copilot.
Microsoft Copilot is a prime example of how this technology is transforming the way we work and live. It's integrated into so many everyday applications, acting as your personal AI assistant.
I'm ready for some examples. Where can we find Copilot in action?
Well, think about web browsing. You can use Copilot directly through the app, in Bing search, and even within the Edge browser. It can answer your questions, help you create content, like blog posts, and make searching the web much more efficient.
So instead of spending hours sifting through search results, I could just ask Copilot to find what I need. That would be a game changer for research.
It really would. For example, you could ask Copilot to generate a list of job opportunities in a specific industry, or to pull out the most important details from a long research paper. And when you're browsing with Microsoft Edge, Copilot is right there in the sidebar. You can open it up and have it help you research topics, draft content, and so much more. Plus, if you sign in with a work or school account, Copilot can access your organization's data and services.
So it's like having a personal research assistant who knows everything about my company.
Exactly. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Copilot is also making waves in the world of Microsoft 365.
Tell me more.
In Word, for example, you can use Copilot to generate a first draft of a document based on a simple prompt. Then you can ask it to refine the writing, summarize key points, or even make the overall flow smoother. In PowerPoint, Copilot can create an entire presentation from a document, or even an email, adding visuals, reformatting slides, and helping you create something truly engaging.
That would save me so much time and stress, especially when I'm on a tight deadline.
I hear you. And in Outlook, Copilot can summarize your emails, manage your schedule, and even help you find the right emails and documents to prep for meetings.
So it's like having a personal assistant. For my email, too. I'm starting to see how this could make a huge difference in my daily workflow. But is Copilot just for personal productivity? Or can businesses use it on a larger scale?
Copilot is definitely making its mark on business processes as well.
I'm all ears.
For example, in Dynamics 365 customer service, Copilot is being used to modernize contact centers. Imagine customer service agents using Copilot to analyze support tickets, research similar issues, find solutions, and communicate those solutions to customers, all in just a few clicks and prompts.
That sounds like a huge win for customer service teams. What about other areas of business?
Well, in Dynamics 365 sales, Copilot can be a game changer for sales professionals. It can quickly pull up relevant customer and industry information, allowing a salesperson to review and qualify a lead, generate a proposal, and even schedule meetings, all much faster than before. And in Dynamics 365 supply chain, Copilot can manage changes to purchase orders on a large scale, assessing the impact and risk to help optimize procurement decisions, for instance. It can identify how changes to a purchase order might affect downstream processes and even offer advice on the next steps.
It's like Copilot is becoming a key player in every department. What about data analytics? Is there a role for Copilot there as well?
Absolutely. In Microsoft Fabric, Copilot can automatically generate the code analysts need to analyze, manipulate, and visualize data. And in Power BI, it can analyze your data and suggest visualizations, making it easier than ever to tell a story with your data.
So Copilot is a data scientist now, too.
You could say that. It's really augmenting the work of data professionals, making them even more efficient and effective.
This is amazing. I'm curious, what about IT and security?
Well, Microsoft Copilot for security assists security professionals with assessing, mitigating, and responding to threats. It's like having an AI security expert on your team. And for cloud services, Microsoft Copilot for Azure is integrated into the Azure portal to help infrastructure administrators navigate the complexities of managing cloud resources.
It seems like Copilot is everywhere. But what about our friends in software development?
GitHub Copilot is changing the game for developers. It can analyze and explain existing code, help developers write better documentation, and even generate new code based on natural language prompts.
It's like having an AI pair programmer.
Exactly. It's helping developers be more productive, write better code, and focus on the more creative aspects of development.
I'm feeling overwhelmed, in a good way. But with so many different Copilot applications out there, how do businesses even begin to adopt this technology? It seems like a lot to take in.
You're right. It can feel a bit overwhelming at first, but businesses can approach Copilot adoption in stages.
Can you break it down for us?
The simplest way is to start with off-the-shelf copilots, like Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365. These are ready-to-use solutions that can instantly improve productivity.
So you can start small and gradually incorporate Copilot into your workflow.
Exactly. As you get more comfortable, you can explore extending Microsoft Copilot. That means integrating it with your specific business processes and data, allowing you to use it for more specialized tasks.
So you can tailor it to fit your specific needs.
Precisely. And for organizations that need truly unique solutions, there's the option of developing custom copilots. That involves building Copilot experiences tailored to your specific customer needs, giving you complete control over functionality and integration.
So the possibilities really are endless. But let's say someone wants to get started with Copilot right now. What's the best way to ensure they're making the most of it?
That's where prompt engineering comes in.
Prompt engineering. That sounds intriguing.
It's all about learning how to craft effective prompts. These are essentially the instructions you give to the AI. Think of it like learning to speak your Copilot's language.
So if I want Copilot to, say, write a blog post on a particular topic, I need to be very specific in how I ask.
Exactly. The clearer and more specific your prompts, the better the results.
Okay, so what are some tips for crafting these masterful prompts?
I'm glad you asked. There are a few key things to keep in mind. First, always start with a clear goal. Instead of saying, tell me about generative AI, try something like, write a blog post about how generative AI can help content creators.
So be direct, not vague.
Exactly. Second, give it a source whenever possible. If you're asking Copilot to summarize a document, or create a presentation based on a research paper, give it access to that material. This helps it understand the context and generate more relevant output.
So I'm giving the AI the raw ingredients instead of making it guess.
You got it. Third, add context. If you're asking Copilot to write a letter, tell it who you're writing to and why. More context means a more nuanced and accurate response.
It's like painting a picture for the AI to help it fill in the details.
Right. Precisely. Fourth, set clear expectations. Tell Copilot what format you want the output in. A bullet point list, a paragraph, a table. Be specific about the length and style you're looking for.
So I'm the director of my own AI-powered production.
Exactly. And finally, don't be afraid to iterate. If the first response isn't quite what you're looking for, refine your prompt based on what you've learned. It's a process of discovery and collaboration with your AI partner.
This is fantastic. It's like we're learning a whole new way to communicate, not just with each other,
Yeah.
but with machines.
It's definitely a paradigm shift, and it's only going to get more exciting as the technology evolves.
My head is spinning with possibilities. But before we get carried away, you mentioned earlier that our prompts don't go directly to the language model. What else is going on behind the scenes?
You're right. There's a whole system working to make your prompts as effective as possible.
Give us a sneak peek behind the curtain.
When you submit a prompt, it's often augmented with something called a system message. This message sets conditions and constraints for the language model's behavior. For example, you might see a system message like, you are a helpful assistant that responds in a cheerful, friendly manner.
So it's like setting the AI's personality or giving it guidelines to follow.
Exactly. And the system usually keeps track of your conversation history, including past prompts and responses.
So it's like the AI is remembering our conversation and learning from it as we go.
You got it. This helps ensure that the responses stay relevant and consistent. And finally, the system might even tweak your prompt slightly to be more easily understood by the language model, or it might add information to help scope the response.
Wow. It's amazing how much thought and engineering goes into making these systems work so seamlessly.
It's a real testament to the work being done in AI. But I think we need a moment to let all of this sink in. We've covered a lot of ground, from the basics of generative AI to the complexities of prompt engineering.
I agree. We've explored the magic of AI, demystified language models, and delved into the world of transformers. We've even seen how Microsoft Copilot is changing the game in everything from web browsing to software development.
We've packed a lot into this first part of our deep dive.
And there's still more to come. But we'll take a pause here.
When we return, we'll continue our exploration of the world of AI copilots.
Stay tuned for more. Welcome back, everyone. I'm still processing all the incredible things we learned in the first part of our deep dive.
It's truly remarkable how rapidly AI technology is advancing. We've seen how powerful and versatile tools like Microsoft Copilot can be.
From writing emails and code, to creating presentations and analyzing data, It seems like AI co-pilots are poised to transform the way we work in just about every field.
It's an exciting time to be exploring the potential of AI, but it's also important to be mindful of its limitations.
You're right. It's easy to get caught up in the hype and forget that these tools are still in their early stages of development. What are some of the things we need to keep in mind as we integrate AI co-pilots into our work?
One of the most important things is to remember that AI co-pilots are tools, not replacements for human expertise. They can augment our abilities and help us work more efficiently. But they shouldn't be seen as a substitute for our own judgment, creativity, and critical thinking skills.
That's a good point. It's tempting to think that these tools can solve all our problems.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we're still the ones responsible for making decisions and ensuring that the work we produce is accurate, ethical,
Yeah.
and aligned with our goals.
Exactly. AI co-pilots can help us generate ideas, explore new possibilities, and automate tedious tasks. But we need to be the ones steering the ship, so to speak. Think of it like having a skilled apprentice. They can assist you with various tasks, but you're still the master craftsman, guiding their work and ensuring the final product meets your standards.
I like that analogy. It reminds me of those old school workshops where apprentices learned from experienced artisans. It wasn't about the apprentices replacing the masters. It was about them learning the craft and eventually becoming masters themselves.
That's a great way to think about it. AI co-pilots can be valuable learning tools, helping us expand our knowledge and skills. They can also free up our time and cognitive energy, so we can focus on the more strategic and creative aspects of our work.
So it's not about AI taking over our jobs. It's about AI helping us do our jobs better, smarter, and more effectively.
Precisely. It's about finding the right balance between leveraging AI's capabilities and maintaining our own human agency and expertise.
That makes a lot of sense. But even with the best tools and the most skilled apprentices, there's always the potential for mistakes or unintended consequences. What are some of the risks or drawbacks we should be aware of when working with AI co-pilots?
One potential risk is over-reliance on AI, where we become so dependent on these tools that we lose our own critical thinking skills or become less engaged in our work.
So it's important to maintain a healthy skepticism and not blindly trust everything the AI produces.
Absolutely. We need to remember that AI models are trained on data, and that data can be biased or incomplete. It's up to us to critically evaluate the output of these tools, question their assumptions, and ensure that the information we're using is accurate and reliable.
It's like double-checking the work of our apprentice, even if they've proven to be quite skilled in the past.
Exactly. Another potential risk is the spread of misinformation. As AI becomes more sophisticated at generating realistic text and images, it could be used to create convincing fake news or propaganda.
That's a concerning thought. How can we guard against that?
It's a complex issue that requires a multi-pronged approach. We need to be more discerning consumers of information, questioning the sources of what we read and see online. We also need to develop tools and techniques for detecting and flagging potentially false information. And we need to educate people about the dangers of misinformation and how to identify it.
It sounds like media literacy and critical thinking skills are going to be more important than ever in this age of AI.
Absolutely. We need to be savvy navigators of the digital landscape, able to discern fact from fiction, and to evaluate information with a critical eye.
Another potential concern I've heard is that AI could lead to a loss of creativity as people become more reliant on these tools to generate ideas and content.
That's an interesting point. It's true that AI can be used to generate creative content, but I think it's more likely to enhance human creativity rather than replace it.
How so?
Think of AI co-pilots as brainstorming partners. They can help us break through creative blocks, explore new ideas, and generate different perspectives.
So instead of replacing our own creativity, they're actually giving us more to work with.
Exactly. AI can help us expand our creative horizons, but ultimately, the human spark of imagination is still essential.
That's a reassuring thought. I also wonder about the potential impact of AI on the job market. Some people fear that widespread adoption of AI could lead to widespread job displacement.
That's a valid concern, and it's one that we need to take seriously. It's true that AI will likely automate some jobs, particularly those involving repetitive or rule-based tasks.
So, for example, jobs in data entry, customer service, or even some aspects of manufacturing could be at risk.
Potentially, yes. But it's important to remember that history has shown us that technological advancements often create more jobs than they displace.
Can you give me an example?
Think about the invention of the automobile. It certainly displaced jobs in the horse-drawn carriage industry, but it also created a vast new industry in automobile manufacturing. sales, repair, and infrastructure development.
So it's not a simple equation of AI in, humans out.
Not at all. It's more about adaptation and evolution. As AI takes over certain tasks, new opportunities will emerge that require uniquely human skills, such as creativity, problem solving, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence.
So instead of fearing job displacement, we should be focusing on upskilling and reskilling ourselves to thrive in this new AI-powered world.
Precisely. It's about embracing lifelong learning, being adaptable, and developing the skills that will be in high demand in the future.
What are some examples of those in-demand skills?
Think about roles that involve complex decision-making, strategic thinking, creative problem-solving, and interpersonal skills, jobs that require empathy, emotional intelligence, and the ability to build relationships will be increasingly valuable in an AI-driven world.
So instead of trying to compete with AI, we should be focusing on the things that make us uniquely human.
Exactly. It's about finding the sweet spot where human ingenuity and AI capabilities can work together to achieve incredible things.
I love that. It's a hopeful and empowering vision of the future. But there's one more elephant in the room that we need to address: the fear that AI could become too powerful or even dangerous.
It's understandable that people have these fears, especially with all the science fiction stories about AI turning against humanity.
I have to admit, I've seen those movies too, and it's hard not to wonder if there's a grain of truth in them.
It's important to acknowledge those concerns and approach AI development with caution and responsibility. However, we're still a long way from the kind of super intelligent AI we see in those movies. The AI we have today is narrow AI, meaning it's designed to perform specific tasks. It's not capable of independent thought, consciousness, or malicious intent.
So it's not like these AI co-pilots are going to suddenly develop self-awareness and decide to take over the world.
Not likely. The real danger lies in how humans choose to develop and use AI. That's why it's so crucial to have open discussions about the ethical implications of AI, to establish clear guidelines for its development, and to ensure that it's used for good.
So it's not about fearing the technology itself, but about being responsible stewards of its power.
Precisely. It's about using AI to enhance human capabilities, not to replace or diminish them. And it's about ensuring that AI is developed and used in a way that benefits all of humanity.
I think that's a powerful message. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I have one more question for you. You mentioned earlier that AI co-pilots could potentially be used to spread misinformation. What are some of the ways that people might misuse this technology?
That's a great question. And it's an important one to consider. As AI becomes more sophisticated at generating realistic text, images, and even videos, it becomes easier for malicious actors to create and disseminate convincing fake news, propaganda, and other forms of harmful content.
So, for example, someone could use AI to create a fake video of a politician saying something inflammatory, or to generate a news article that appears to come from a reputable source, but is actually completely fabricated.
Exactly. And as these AI tools become more accessible and user-friendly, the barrier to entry for creating this kind of content becomes lower, which means we could see a surge in misinformation and disinformation circulating online.
That's a disturbing thought. What can we do to combat this potential threat?
It's a complex challenge that requires a multifaceted approach. From a technological standpoint, we need to develop tools and techniques for detecting and flagging AI-generated content. This could involve using machine learning algorithms to analyze the patterns and characteristics of fake content, or creating digital watermarks that identify AI-generated media.
So it's like an arms race between the developers of AI tools and the developers of tools to detect AI-generated content.
In a way, yes, but technology alone isn't enough. We also need to focus on media literacy and critical thinking skills. People need to be aware of the potential for AI-generated misinformation, and they need to be equipped with the tools and techniques to evaluate information critically and discern fact from fiction.
This sounds like a crucial role for educators, journalists, and even social media platforms.
Absolutely. We need to educate people about the dangers of misinformation and equip them with the skills to navigate the digital landscape safely and responsibly.
This has been a sobering but incredibly informative conversation. I feel like I have a much deeper understanding of both the potential benefits and the potential risks of AI co-pilots.
It's important to approach this technology with a balanced perspective, recognizing both its incredible power and the need for responsible development and use.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground in this second part of our deep dive. We've discussed the limitations of AI co-pilots, the importance of maintaining human agency and expertise, the potential risks of over-reliance and misinformation, and the need for a multi-pronged approach to combating the misuse of this technology.
We've explored some complex and challenging topics, but ultimately, I think it's an exciting time to be witnessing the evolution of AI and its impact on our world.
I agree. And I'm eager to learn more about how we can harness the power of AI co-pilots to improve our lives and our work. But for now, we'll take a pause here.
When we return for the final part of our deep dive, we'll shift gears from the big picture to the practical.
We'll explore some specific tools and resources that you can use to start experimenting with AI co-pilots and integrating them into your own workflow. Stay tuned for the exciting conclusion of our deep dive into the world of AI co-pilots. Welcome back, everyone. We've been on quite a journey through the world of AI co-pilots, from understanding how they work to discussing their potential impact on the future.
We've covered a lot of ground, but now it's time to get practical. You've learned so much about this technology, and you're probably wondering how you can start using it.
Exactly. How can our listeners start experimenting with AI co-pilots and integrate them into their own work? Where do we even begin?
The great news is there are tons of resources out there to help you get started. One of the easiest and most accessible ways to experience AI co-pilots is through Microsoft Copilot, which we've talked about quite a bit.
Right. And we've discussed how it's already integrated into so many Microsoft applications.
Exactly. So if you're using Microsoft 365, you can jump right in and start playing around with Copilot.
So if I'm in Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, or even Edge, I just look for the Copilot icon and start exploring.
That's it. Give it a try. Ask it to help you draft an email, summarize a long document, or even create a presentation from scratch.
It's like having an AI assistant on call, ready to lend a hand whenever you need it.
Precisely. And as you become more familiar with Copilot, you can start experimenting with more advanced features and see how it works in different applications.
It really is amazing how seamlessly it's integrated into the tools we use every day. But what about folks who want to go beyond the basics and delve into the world of custom copilots? What resources would you recommend for them?
For those ready to dive into custom Copilot development, Microsoft offers two powerful tools, Copilot Studio and Azure AI Studio.
Okay, let's break those down. What's Copilot Studio all about?
Copilot Studio is designed for low-code development, empowering business users and developers to create conversational AI experiences without needing to be coding experts.
So you don't need a degree in computer science to build your own AI.
Not at all. Copilot Studio has a user-friendly interface that makes it easy to define conversational flows, integrate your data sources, and customize the behavior of your Copilot.
That sounds pretty straightforward. And you mentioned that the resulting Copilot is a fully managed solution hosted in your Microsoft 365 environment and delivered through familiar channels like Microsoft Teams.
Exactly. That means you don't have to worry about managing complex infrastructure or deploying models. It's all taken care of for you.
That's great for folks who want to keep things simple. Now, what about Azure AI Studio? That one sounds a bit more heavy-duty.
Azure AI Studio is a platform-as-a-service development portal that gives you complete control over the language model you want to use. You can fine-tune existing models with your own data, define custom prompt flows, and integrate your own data augmentation and prompt engineering logic.
So it's like a playground for AI developers who want to get their hands dirty.
You could say that. It provides all the tools and resources you need to build, deploy, and manage sophisticated custom Copilot solutions.
Wow. It seems like there's something for everyone, from beginners to seasoned developers. But with all these options, it can still be tough to know where to start. What advice would you give to someone embarking on their AI Copilot journey?
My advice would be to embrace the spirit of experimentation. Start small, play around with the different tools and resources, try out different prompts, and see what works best for you.
So it's all about learning by doing, just like with any new skill.
Exactly. And remember, AI copilots are tools. The more you use them, the better you'll understand their capabilities and limitations. Don't be afraid to share your knowledge, collaborate with others, and be part of the growing community of AI enthusiasts.
That's great advice. As we wrap up our deep dive, I have one final question that's been lingering in my mind. We've talked about all the amazing things AI copilots can do, from writing code to generating art. But where do we draw the line between human creativity and AI-generated content?
That's a thought-provoking question, and one we'll continue to explore as AI evolves. I think it's crucial to remember that AI copilots are tools, extensions of our own creative abilities. They can help us generate ideas, overcome creative blocks, and explore new avenues.
So it's not about AI replacing human creativity, but expanding it.
Precisely. Ultimately, the creative spark still comes from us humans. AI copilots can help us fan that spark into a flame, But they can't replicate the unique perspective, experiences, and emotions that fuel our creativity.
That's a reassuring thought. So as we enter this new era of AI-powered creativity, let's embrace the possibilities, experiment without fear, and never lose sight of our own human ingenuity.
Well said. And remember, the future of AI isn't set in stone. It's up to all of us to shape it responsibly and ethically, creating a future where AI empowers us to reach our full potential.
What a fantastic way to wrap up our deep dive into the world of AI copilots. We've explored the technology, the possibilities, the challenges, and most importantly, we've started a conversation that will undoubtedly continue.
It's been an incredible journey, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.
And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep experimenting, and keep engaging with this exciting frontier of AI. The future is in our hands. And together, we can shape it into something truly remarkable. Until next time, happy diving!